Hey, what's up, you beautiful degenerates and you lovers of the Emperor of Mankind, as we seek to understand the deep knowledge of the warp and seek the pleasurable dark magics of Lanesh and Zeech, because we're so degenerate and debauched in our day-to-day lives. We have no hope but to seek out Zeech on the internet and the bowels of Reddit, only to find chaos and the abyssal, whimsical, magical hell that is the warp. Gotta love Warhammer. Gotta love Warhammer 40k. And Warhammer isn't a really, this is gonna be like a video essay where I'll talk about what I love about Warhammer, but also like a deeper theme I think is very important to the culture we live in. Warhammer, for short, is a dark, gothic, space fantasy universe. Think like Star Wars, but on roids, with the Galactic Empire in Star Wars turned up to 11,000 billion, with a Dark Ages Catholic Church and a Nazi police state. And these are the good guys. The bad guys are little alien abominations, Tyranids, orcs, Dark Eldar, which are pretty much just dark space, kinky BDSM, goth as fuck, space elves, gaiety. And Tyranids are alien bug monsters, and I will be getting the Space Marine 2 this weekend. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, the Imperium is a necessary evil to hold back the hordes of aliens, and even worse than that, the hordes of chaos, the hordes of the warp, which is pretty much a magical, whimsical space hell that is driven by that is a magical realm created by the collective unconscious and imaginations, thoughts, emotions of every sentient being in the universe. And they create demonic gods, demonic realms of these endless space demons that want to fuck, torture, kill, fuck, kill, rape, torture all of mankind till the end of existence. So yeah, Galactic Empire from Star Wars got nothing on this universe and how fucked up and dark it is, and that's why I fucking love it. So freaking edgy and awesome, and they should make furries part of the 40k universe just so the Dark Angels and the Black Templars can wipe them out with a flamethrower. That'd be awesome. I love Flash Kids, but in all seriousness, 40k, for all of its massive space battles and massive space magical whimsy and dark effed up gothic themes, is very philosophical and is so true to so many mythologies. I mean, the Imperium is straight up the Holy Roman Empire in space, like space Catholic Roman Empire ruling the universe and enslaving the entire human race under a Dark Ages religion. And there's so many similarities between the Imperium of Man and its church to modern day, any ancient and even modern day Christianity to some extent. I mean, hell, we have Gothic cathedrals and space popes with flying babies flying around, cherubim, giving their sermons and incense across crowds of billions. It's so freaking dark, and it's thought-provoking. 40k doesn't hate spirituality, so the choice in 40k is oppressive order versus oppressive chaos. There's no nuance in 40k. There's no nuance, because chaos is when it's complete and total anarchy, freedom of emotion, complete and utter release and unchecked emotion and passion without any wisdom or guidance, whereas the Imperium is the order that allows no freedom, no joy, no happiness, no free will, and no self-expression to the other grim, dark extreme. And that's why the universe is so fucked up, because there's no spiritual balance, there's no Buddhas, there's no Jesus Christ, there's no middle path. And because there's no middle path, it creates an endless cosmic cycle. Chaos feeds off the negative emotions of those in the material universe, and thus the more intense chaos gets, the more intense its followers get in the mortal plane, and the more intense the reality of the physical universe gets. It's a really meta narrative that you are what you eat, and the gods are the gods, and we are the gods. And the gods are so fucked up it's demonic because we don't have good pastors or therapists out there to help us deal with our issues and make healthy, good choices with intent and discernment. And honestly, that is like my core thing I get out of 40k. And I would compare the Chaos Worshippers to your average Antifa, fucking crazy internet furry lunatic on Reddit or whatever Your average ContraPoints or Philosophy 2 fan, and I would compare the Imperium of Man to your average Brian Holdsworth or Girl Define fucking Jesus freak. And they're both disgusting, degenerate, and I despise both of them. And that's where our universe is heading, and 40K is doing a really good job of showing that. 40K is an amazing universe that also talks about the deep mythologies of religion and how religion is formed. So, spoiler alert, there's billions of books you can read about the 40K universe. Billions of books, video games, and all sorts of games you can get your hands on. It's primarily a miniature war game, which has a really interesting connection to D&D, and the Warhammer and D&D actually come from the same source. They're very closely tied in how they're created. But Warhammer is straight up a series of role-playing games set in a fantasy universe, set in a 40K universe, all about massive power battles between armies of angels of death, heavy metal angels of death versus the demons of chaos. That's pretty much, and there's so many core elements the two universes share. But in short, 40K is a massive multimedia brand that expresses its dark edginess, fucked up metalhead bullshit across numerous forms of media, and there's so many games worth getting into. There's so many role-playing games I'd recommend: Dark Heresy, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, Space Marine 2, obvious, Total War, Warhammer Age of Reckoning, that's a fan-made MMO, still going strong. There's so many Warhammer games out there that are just so worth getting into. So many aspects. It's like a dark, it's kind of like D&D, but it's a multiverse factor. There's like a multiverse aspect to Warhammer, like in D&D. But it's, once again, it's grimdark turned up to 11 billion trillion gazillion Slanesh, please stop the pain sort of mentality. 40K is an amazing universe because it's also an amazing satire. The Imperium is nothing but a massive satire of human civilization and human religion. The Imperium is, and this is coming from someone who grew up Catholic, the Imperium is everything I despise about organized religion and organized hierarchies, whereas chaos is a clear example of what happens when you don't have any form of hierarchy of needs, hierarchy of ideals, hierarchy of like taboos. One is an example of complete and total emotional and spiritual anarchy, what happens when you don't have any guiding principles to guide your choices in life, no intent, just purely slave to your own emotions and your own dopamine rushes. And the Imperium is literally what happens when you blindly follow anything, any ideology, out of blind faith. It's really interesting. The Emperor really represents a unique take on Christianity. He's literally heavy metal space Jesus. I will never stop calling the Emperor heavy metal space Jesus. The Emperor is literally a god amongst a human, super powerful psychic mage who's lived for tens of thousands of years, who's guided humanity who's been guiding humanity down this path of universal salvation and ascension. So he created the Imperium. He wiped out all religion as a way of like depriving the chaos gods of their nourishment, but ironically, by denying people their faith, you just make the issue worse. Soviet Union. The more you deny the spirituality and religiosity that is the human nature, and that we need something to put our faith in, gods, ideals, the more you're just going to give more power to the metaphorical demons, whether that be the demons in your head, the demons of the human subconscious, or literal demons in the warp fucking us over. Yeah, you need higher ideals and things to believe in, things to put your faith in. That's just part of the human condition. And the Emperor didn't realize this, and he caused the Horus Heresy, where 17 of his demigod sons, I think it was like 12 of his demigod sons, rose up in rebellion. And that's another thing. The Horus Heresy, which is literally like the war in heaven between the renegade angels, whereby Horus, who's literally Lucifer, leading a rebellion, selling their souls to the chaos gods, leading a demonic rebellion against the Imperium, which is literally the kingdom of God. And Horus and the Emperor have a massive duel. Horus is killed. The Emperor is mortally injured and put on a golden throne, a golden god toilet, and he's reduced to a screaming heavy metal space bone daddy. Bone daddy. Now you know where I got that from. He's reduced to a skeleton on a toilet, literally holding back the massive power of the warp and the immaterium and the demonic hordes of the ether back. He literally spends every day 24/7 for 10,000 years holding back the demon hordes of hell from invading reality. Another example of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. It's really interesting how these guys really know a lot of religious symbology and religious history, especially like Greco-Roman and Christianic. It's pretty impressive. I really do enjoy it, and it's really good for people who enjoy religion and mythology. That Warhammer is like, I would encourage more Christians to get into Warhammer. It's not just the satire and the fun of making fun of your own trauma, but like, this is such a deep universe, which in a lot of ways still really reflects and affirms the reality of the religion we believe in. And Warhammer doesn't say religion is bad. Well, it says religion, I will say this to the end, the damn dead. Religion, when it's tied to spirituality and it's tied to actual causes that matter, is the most rewarding thing in the world. A spirituality that is tied to love and compassion and nuance, that is tied to the middle path, will destroy both the extremists and the on both sides of the fence. And you kind of see this. The God Emperor, as he's like in the Immaterium, his spirit is separated from his body, is looking upon all the atrocities the Imperium does in his name, all the worlds that wipes out, all the people who are enslaved, and he's horrified. He's terrified, and he is being worshipped as God, even though he never wanted to be worshipped as a god. Some parallels to early Christianity. It's kind of like how I imagine Jesus looking down when he sees the terrible things Christianity has done in his name. It's a really sobering, cathartic experience for me as a person of faith, you know? And as someone who saw the extremes of Catholicism and evangelicalism, the American hierarchy, the American Imperium, I see the damage that what the Imperium is meant to represent. It's really telling. But I also see what happens when we don't have guiding principles and we let our anger and our hatred and our pure obsession and hedonistic desires get the best of us. We just become piles of demon food, for whether that be metaphorical or literal demons from a space magical whimsical hell. There's a balance. The middle path is life of intent and living in community and loving people while also being responsible, you know? Living a good life, having the right to make your own choices, having the right to be whoever you want to be, but also realizing not everyone agrees with me and and I can't force my beliefs down anyone's throat. And that's the big thing with 40K. My guys are real. The Chaos guys are real. They allow me all this. No, the Emperor guy is real. Now we're going to kill each other in a mindless, massive, giant orgy of blood and violence and sell 3 books out of it. 40K, literally. The whole point of 40K is ideologies are dangerous, and they only exist to create armies of fanatical zealots who will do anything to create their perfect heaven in this reality. Back to what I was saying, the whole point of 40K is all the factions have a unique cause taken to its extreme. Orcs are war and savagery, Tyranids are hunger, Chaos is anarchy, the Imperium is order. You have all these extreme cosmic forces and causes. They're bumped up to a trillion-fold, full of hordes of aliens, Xenos, murder babies turned into space marines, bolter psychotic nuns with machine guns, demons, gimp sex slaves. You know, you get entire armies of these things. And that's what the tabletop's so fucking fun. You can literally have space hobbit, freaking German panzer snipers, and giant space ogres, space dwarves, space elves, space frickin' orcs, all fighting with vehicles, armies, all there's miniature war games. You can buy these things, paint them, wage role-playing battles, wage game tournaments against other players. It's better than Magic. I highly recommend Warhammer as a site to get into. The game is really expensive. The tabletop war game is, but You can just do 3D print them. Fuck Games Workshop. Games Workshop sucks. As much as I love Warhammer, the company that makes it is worse than Disney and Blizzard put together, and I'm not shitting you. And recently they've been trying to go quote-unquote woke, and if Warhammer ever went woke and destroyed the deep, dark, philosophical, satiric universe that is Warhammer 40k and tried turning it into like some sort of SJW bullshit, I would literally go to Games Workshop and take a massive fucking shit in front of their main office, okay? And before people say, oh, you just don't like... There's a shit ton of women in the Games Workshop community, and Warhammer is inclusive in the right way. Because in the Warhammer universe, everyone sucks, everyone is insane, and there's not insanity and sociopathic tendencies in war. When you're truly in that war, knows no freaking discrimination. Because just talk to the average Ukrainian right now. Most of them, regardless of their gender, race, or religion, are all in the militia fighting against the Imperial man known as the Russian army. That's another tie for another day. I would really recommend Warhammer 40k to people who are trying to get into a fantasy setting that is... Because I got into Warhammer 40k because I hated Star Wars and what the Disney saga... Well, I hated the sequel trilogy. I hate what Disney did in my beloved Star Wars Legends. So I needed a new sci-fi universe to take me in and be my escapism from the sad, deplorable view that is my reality. So I just Warhammer 40k. It's awesome. It's not hostile to women. It's welcoming to everyone as long as you're nerdy, into fantasy and space fantasy, and you have a dark, debauched nature, you'll be welcomed in Warhammer 40k. It's the right kind of inclusivity, not the forced kind of SJW inclusivity that D&D is falling into. Although D&D, that's a more nuanced thing. It's a topic for another day. So in closing, the deep spiritual philosophical truth of 40k is think for yourself, live a life of intent, live a life of balance, and don't sell but at the same time, don't sell your soul and your mind to chaos or mindless ideologies. Think for yourself, be the individual, not the cog of the machine. Don't be a mindless sex slave in the space chaos warbands and be a slave to some freaking anarchist rebellion. That shit will just fuck you over. Just ask the Bolsheviks. But don't be a slave to the Catholic Church and be a mindless breeding machine. Or just be a mindless servitor, selling your soul and like spending all eternity doing mindless bureaucratic checking book math in a massive library that's probably just calculating the amount of murder bombs they dropped on the local preschool planet. Well, till next time, folks. Stay sane. God bless. And fuck the frickin' SJW. Take care, folks.